Hello, all, and welcome back to Legally Speaking, number Trace. Now, what a week. Now, I was expecting to really only talk about one or two, maybe three things. I've got one that pulled up already. Get ready to go into this decision that the Supreme Court made today, yesterday. Hang on. Yeah, today, actually. A 9-0 decision deciding that whose was it? That the Sixth Circuit, and let's go ahead and pull up that beautiful circuit map. Sixth Circuit, that is Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. What's up, Lily? That's going to be on the docket tonight. We're going to be talking about that decision and what the Supreme Court decided that reverse discrimination is in fact discrimination, as anyone could have told them, as anyone could have told any judge or justice or court. Like, to sit there and even think that you're going to get away with saying that just because you're white you can't be discriminated against is bullshit. How's everyone doing tonight? Lily, how are you doing? Let's see. The other thing I wanted to look at. Doing great. What is the name of that New Jersey mayor? Baraka. Here we go. This is the other thing we're going to go over. We're going to go over Baraka's lawsuit against Alina Habba and Ricky J. Patel. Who are they? Okay, she was the interim United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey. And Ricky J. Patel is the special agent in charge of the Newark division of DHS. So that's what we're going to go over. Tell me about it, Lily. It has been a week. And I mean, of course, today we've got this wild shit going on between Elon and Trump. And I've got a freaking chapped lip that is starting to hurt. I'm trying to not, because I don't have any like Vaseline or chapstick and stuff like that. So I'm trying to just kind of deal with it, and it's not really working. It's kind of winning. Let's see. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about. And it was kind of political, but it was less political and more legal based. Hang on, let me think about it. I don't remember what it was. Oh, you know what? I probably bookmarked it on Twitter. Let me check real quick. Okay, we're going to do this. Mommy and Daddy are fighting. That really is so funny. Let's check. I can't find it now. I'll tell you what I am interested in. I am interested to find out, because I haven't looked in a little while. What's going on with the arrest of Representative LaMonica McIver. Remember, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. She was one of the representatives that participated along with Mayor Baraka in the, I mean, I'm not going to call it an attack, but in the trespassing of the DHS Center up in New Jersey. And so I am curious to see if, and again, she was arrested for that. And of course, the Mark Johnson has basically indicated that they will at the very least censure her. They may expel her from Congress. So I'm wondering if we've got a update on that arrest. All the news articles. Yeah, let's go to X. Let's go to X, because that's where the real news is now. No, I can't find. Let's see. Let's ask Grok. Grok can tell us. Has Representative been arrested yet? She charged 2 counts of assaulting, right? Let's see. She was released on her own recognizance, on May 21st. So that's 2 weeks ago. All right, so her next court date. So this is going to be interesting. Her next court date is June 11th. So that is next Wednesday. You know what? Maybe we go live during it. Maybe we see if we can find it. We'll at least get a video about it, because that, like this really, I like I said weeks ago, I do not expect her to actually, serve time for this, but this would go a long way to actually restoring some sort of faith, not only in our Justice Department, but in our institutions. You want to sit there and bow on Twitter and say no one is above the law. But then when you have members of Congress actually breaking the law and nothing happens to them, then what are we supposed to believe? Whether it's tax evasion, whether it's Hunter Biden getting pardons, whether it's representatives who have been there for like 4 weeks, being able to just come straight up break the law and nothing happens to them, what are we supposed to think other than that everyone is above the law except for us? I don't know. What do y'all think? Of course, I will assume that anyone that tunes in tonight will have seen my video about Maxine Waters. Her campaign is being charged, or they settled, I should say. They always settle whenever there's an FTC investigation, or FEC, Federal Elections Commission. Yeah. Whenever there's an FEC investigation into any of these campaigns, they always settle, because the FEC doesn't want to take the time to actually try the case, and then the campaign doesn't want the publicity. So everyone settles, and it all gets swept under the rug. So we're seeing that once again with Maxine Waters. Her campaign was found guilty of receiving how do I describe this? I said it pretty well on my video. found guilty of receiving, like, damn it. Maybe I should have actually been prepared and pulled up articles for y'all. Let's see. Okay. So her campaign was found guilty of misreporting receipts and disbursements for her 2020 campaign. So basically, you're only allowed to receive. Let me see if I do the math correctly. $2,600. That sounds about right. $2,600 per person per election. So you can receive $2,600 for your primary. So like if I'm going to give money to John, who's running for U.S. Senate, I can give him $2,600 for his primary race, and then I can give him $2,600 for his general election. Maxine Waters was found to have understated $262,391 in receipts and $256,154 in disbursements. So basically what had happened was she was getting money from, or too much money from people. There were either people or corporations, they didn't specify, that were just sending her a buttload of money that violated the FEC laws. Let's see. The campaign made $7,000 in unlawful cash payments, primarily to reimburse get out the vote canvassers, violating FEC rules that prohibit cash payments over $100. What's up, Wiley Dave? The campaign cited COVID-19 related difficulties as a reason for these cash disbursements, which is isn't that interesting? So one of the things the Democrats really pushed during COVID-19 was the removal of cash from our society. They wanted everyone to end up on, Google Pay, Apple Pay, Cash App, Zillow. Sorry, Zillow is a real estate thing. What am I thinking of? I have it. Am I blind? I might be blind now. Venmo, and then Zelle. Zelle is one of the ones that USAA uses a lot. So they wanted everyone to end up on this. And of course, we saw how that worked out. As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, everyone turned off Russia's access to their money. And holy shit, that was terrifying. That should be a warning to everybody. Like, cash is king for a reason. What's up, Margaret? How you doing? So Maxine Waters' campaign cites COVID-19, says, hey, we just had issue, we needed to give out cash to everybody. Yet what they didn't want anyone to get cash. They didn't want cash being dispersed. So they're just lying. And again, we knew they were lying. I'm not surprised at all that they that the Maxine Waters campaign sat there and lied about this. But it's another example of when we see these senators post things like $25 should be the minimum wage, and then they're only going to pay their interns $15 an hour. It's like, you either believe it or you don't. Stop being in the middle. You're not a median. Like, either do what you preach. Like, if you had a Democratic senator get up there and say, I believe that $25 is the fair living wage. I believe that men can be women and women can be men. I believe that you can live in whatever yada 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 crazy world you want to live in, and then actually follow up on it. I respect you a hell of a. I respect you very little, but I respect you a lot more than the crazy people that say it and then don't actually do it. And why don't they do it? so they have something to campaign about next time. Okay, we got some people here. I wanted to wait until there's some more people in here to kind of go over this lawsuit by Mayor Ras Baraka, which actually I think there's something funny here. Okay, I'm trying to think of Republican lawmaker sues. Who could they sue? Company. I want to see what I get. What gets pulled up. Michigan House Republicans sue the Secretary of State over election. No, I want like an actual, like, you know, Rand Paul sued Google or some BS like that. Sue. So what I'm looking for is an example of a Republican suing. Here we go. This might work. No, these are just AGs. So I think it's dumb that this mayor has included his title in this complaint. I feel like he's trying to game the system with that, because while it's polite to use titles like that, I've never seen someone include a title in a summons and complaint. That's weird, in my opinion. All right, let's go through this. The plaintiff is Newark, New Jersey Mayor Ras Baraka, residing in Newark, New Jersey, alleges the following. So again, we are in the United States District Court for the District of New Jersey. These are 3 citizens of New Jersey. So there must be we all know off the bat that this must be about a federal question, meaning that he is claiming that a federal law was broken, not a state law. Plaintiff brings this action seeking damages and to remedy defendants subjecting him to false arrest and malicious prosecution in violation of his constitutional rights under the 4th Amendment. Plaintiff also brings an action for defamation against defendant Haba. Okay, so I want to point some stuff out here real quick. Mayor, what's his name again? Baraka arrest. Let's go back and remind everyone what happened. Okay, so Mayor Baraka and I believe 3 Democratic representatives from the state of New Jersey were at a detention facility and basically protesting ICE. They, you know, saying, "Oh, they shouldn't be able to be arrested. This isn't fair." Yada yada yada. And hang on, because I don't want to state it incorrectly. Let's see if Grok can give me like a breakdown of what happened. What happened at the DHS building in New Jersey with Mayor Baraka and LaMonica MacGyver? I love how Grok will, and ChatGPT does this as well, but they'll throw like euphemisms in there. Let's see. The lawmakers were conducting a congressional oversight visit to inspect the facility, which they claimed was operating without proper city permits. Again, federal officials would not be there for that. That would be the job of the local government. Baraka, who was not part of the congressional delegation, attempted to join them, but was denied entry by federal agents. According to reports, Baraka was initially allowed through the facility's gate, but was later asked to leave. After exiting to public property, he was arrested by ICE agents for trespassing, sparking a confrontation. Video footage shows MacIver, Coleman, and Menendez along with protesters surrounding Baraka to shield him as agents moved in to detain him. During the scuffle, MacIver allegedly made physical contact with federal agents, with some accounts claiming she pushed or elbowed them while trying to intervene. So we've seen the video of that, and she absolutely gives a couple agents the elbow. But what I'm more curious about, okay, well, I mean, that gives a pretty decent answer of what happened. So, you know, they're there to investigate, and they basically don't let him in. Plaintiff Mayor Raz Baraka is a citizen and resident of New Jersey. Defendant Alina Habba, a resident of New Jersey at all times relevant to this complaint, was the interim United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey, but in this matter acted as a political operative outside of any function intimately related to the judicial process and in her individual personal capacity. So the reason that he's claiming that, and which honestly, he shouldn't be claiming this here. Can I not highlight? So this, whoa, okay, let's try this. Underline. Go back to the highlight. Okay. Well, let's make it something more easily seen. Okay. So this claim right here is simply to kind of prove to the judge very quickly that he's claiming that she does not have immunity from this. So members of the Justice Department, police, attorney generals, all of that, all the way down from the first kid who is their first day on the job, all the way up to the attorney general. They have what's it called? Immunity from basically being sued for doing their job. And so what he's doing here is he's laying it out quickly that he does not believe that she was actively engaged in her job, so she should be able to be sued. Is this a? Yeah, it's a woman. Let's see. Defendant Ricky J. Patel at all times relevant to yada yada. But in this matter, again, doing it here too. Why doesn't that say? But in this matter, acted outside the scope of his employment in his individual capacity. Again, claiming that the reason that they're able to sue him and her up here, Alina Habba, is because they were acting outside their capacity as law enforcement agents and are not allowed to claim their immunity. If police officers say, let's use a police officer, for example, if he's walking down the street, he's not on duty, or actually, let's put him on duty first. So a police officer is walking down the street, sees a robbery, and shoots the guy. He's probably got immunity from a lawsuit because it was during the course of his duty and he was doing his job. If he shoots the guy and he's not on duty, there's an argument to be made that it's not his job at the time to shoot the guy. Jurisdiction and venue, jurisdiction conferred by the court and here we go. This is United States Code section 1331, federal question. That's why they are in federal court, which provides the court with jurisdiction over these claims that defendant Abba and Patel violated plaintiff Baraka's constitutional rights, specifically his rights guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment. Let's look at those rights real quick, because I don't remember them all. Lily, I will answer that in just a second. So, the key rights of the Fourth Amendment are protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. You need a warrant. Probable cause, the warrant requirement. Exceptions to the warrant requirement. Exclusionary rule, which is evidence is obtained illegally without probable cause of warrant. It cannot be used in court against you. It could be used against someone else. Protecting privacy. Yeah, so it's basically the search warrant, the requirement for a search warrant, and probable cause. And free from unreasonable searches and seizures by the government. But she was doing her job, right? This seems like a stretch. So his claim, and I will definitely I'm kind of piece this together through some of the tweets I've seen about this. But his claim for the U.S. attorney is going to be that she is acting as a political operative, that she is doing Trump's bidding, and by such, she is not acting as the actual attorney general, but as basically a political stooge. And so she doesn't have the protection of her job to keep her from being sued because she's acting outside the scope of her job. And then with this special agent in charge, I think it's going to be very much the same, that they're going to claim that he was acting by arresting him, acting outside the scope of his job, and was actually being a political operative as well. Yeah, and I mean, this is the first thing I've truly agreed with him. Venue is absolutely proper in the United States District Court because the events that give rise are in the district. So that's the only thing I agree with so far. As the duly elected mayor of Newark, New Jersey, plaintiff Mayor Baraka has an obligation to promote the health and safety of all residents. Mayor Baraka and Newark fire, health, zoning, and building inspectors have repeatedly been thwarted in their efforts to enforce the laws of the city of Newark at Delaney Hall. Let's see. Is there any publicly available, I cannot spell today, available information regarding the safety of Delaney Hall in Newark, Jersey? So, Lily, that's a very good question. So the Supreme Court case, McCulloch v. Maryland, makes it very clear that states do not have authority over federal offices. Now, there is something to be said to, okay, here we go. So there's apparently permanent inspection issues. The city of Newark's claims Mayor Russ Baraka and city officials have repeatedly alleged that Delaney Hall is operating without a valid certificate of occupancy and lacks proper permits for electrical, plumbing, and fire safety inspections. The GEO Group, the private prison company operating Delaney Hall, and ICE assert that the facility has a valid certificate of occupancy issued by Newark and complies with all health and safety requirements. They claim inspections for plumbing, electrical, and fire codes have been cleared, dismissing the city's allegation as politically motivated. So this is a lot of basically he said. A certificate of occupancy is issued by the county, usually by the county, basically saying that when something was built or when it's updated, the county sends inspectors over to make sure that it's updated and built correctly. If you ever go and buy a brand new house that's new construction, you will receive this certificate of occupancy. It's the county informing you that the builder did everything up to county standards. Now, that can be iffy sometimes, but that's what it means. So he's claiming in this lawsuit that they have not been allowed to actually inspect the building. GEO, which is the private, and they say probably right here, GEO, the private prison company, and ICE both claim that they have inspected the building and it is safe to work in. Private prison company owns and operates Delaney Hall. GEO contracted with DHS to operate a U.S. immigration custom, blah, 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 blah. And DHS and ICE have repeatedly denied access to Newark officials seeking to conduct necessary and legally required inspections. So, exercising his rights under the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, Mayor Ras Baraka, a Democrat, made many public. And see, okay, again, I really like the way this attorney has written this suit. This is to make it very clear that he is a Democrat and that the other people are Republicans, and so that this is a political thing, not a legal thing. He's trying. This attorney, I'm going to assume it's a he. Statistically, it's a he. Let's see. Nancy. Never mind. Nancy. So Nancy is making sure that the question that the judge keeps in his head or her head is the arrest, is any of this politically motivated? That's the reason that everyone's political parties keeps being mentioned. Let's see. Public statement expresses its view that the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees all persons, including immigrants, the right to due process, and has vocally opposed the abuse and mistreatment of immigrants by the Trump administration. Once again, here is why stupid people are the worst thing to happen to American politics. Because the right to due process does not mean that everyone has the same stuff. The right to due process means that the system that's in place must be followed. The system that is in place is being followed for all of these illegal immigrants. They are being arrested. They are being put before a court. They are being deported. That is the system for deportations in the United States of America. You don't get to sit there and appeal and appeal and appeal. These are not death row cases. Mayor Baraka was alarmed when the GEO group allowed DHS to house detainees in a building without the required inspections. Mayor Baraka continually sought to ensure the safety and health of residents in his city as part of his duty as mayor. Defendant Haba has made her biased political goals explicit. Days before being sworn in as the interim U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Haba attacked Democratic United States Senator Cory Booker and Democrat Governor Phil Murphy, claiming that they have failed the state of New Jersey. Well, isn't that interesting? Hokies, what's up? Oh, Wicked. Y'all are. Wicked, you are the salt of the earth. I'll tell you what, we are going to miss you, Wicked, when you're traveling. I assume you've already told everybody. Wicked Raiders, what's up? I hope y'all have a great time over here. Stick around. We're dealing with this. We're talking about this lawsuit between the stupid New Jersey mayor who is now suing because he was arrested for trespassing and basically breaking into a DHS facility. So he's claiming that his constitutional rights were violated because he was arrested for breaking the law. You can't make it up. So here in paragraph 11, he's claiming, or his attorney Nancy is claiming, that her political goals make it clear that her actions are politically motivated, not legally motivated. On March 28th, 2025, the day she was sworn in as interim U.S. attorney and defendant. Hang on a second. Facts relevant to all. I don't like how this attorney has set up this. I would have done this differently. We could turn New Jersey red. Hopefully, while I'm there, I can help that cause. Again, these are all like, everyone says these things. Basically what he's trying to do is use the same gotcha phrases that everyone in politics uses to set up these political appointments. And again, that's what's so dumb about this. All of these appointments, U.S. Attorney for District of New Jersey, that's a political appointment. And to sit there and act like being political means that she can't do her job is dumb. It actually, if that becomes the case, the system will be destroyed. Hokies, what Mexico suit? Oh, that's funny. I typed in Mexico suit. Here we go. The Supreme Court blocks Mexico's suit against U.S. gun makers. The Supreme Court on Thursday rejected. Okay, we're going to put a pause in this. And we're going to come over here to, is this the New York Times? It is. The New York Times. In a unanimous decision written by Justice Elaine Kagan, let's actually look at that instead. So, Smith & Wesson brands versus Estados Unidos Mexicanos, the United States of Mexico. The Protection of the Lawful Commerce in Arms Act bars certain lawsuits against manufacturers and sellers of firearms, which it should. It's ridiculous that some people think they can sue a company just because they make a product. That's legal. Where is the actual decision? Let me bring this over here so I'm not looking off to the side. Because Mexico's complaint, here we go. Because Mexico's complaint does not plausibly allege that the defendant's gun manufacturers aided and abetted gun dealers' unlawful sales of firearms to Mexican traffickers, PLCAA bars the lawsuit. So the PLCAA is the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. So it's basically the thing that says as long as Smith & Wesson, Colt, Winchester, as long as they don't go, hey, do you want to come buy the guns outside the back of our car? Then they can't be held liable for someone legally buying guns and then selling them illegally. So Mexico clearly thought they could get around the U.S. law, and that did not work. Let's see. Yes, Lily. So a lot of cases, there's June, July, and August. They become very busy times for the Supreme Court in their decisions. What else did we get out of the Supreme Court today? See, y'all are more informed than I am. Let's see. So we got 4 unanimous court decisions. Legal liability gun makers. Yeah, that's the one on religious exemptions, unanimous. Catholic Charities Bureau versus Wisconsin Labor and Industry Review Commission. The Supreme Court was asked to decide whether the state of Wisconsin was violating the First Amendment's religious freedom protection by denying a faith-based tax break to a group of Catholic nonprofits. The nonprofit said their service to people in need was clearly motivated by Catholic teachings, but Wisconsin officials said they didn't qualify for the religious exemption to the state's unemployment tax because they did not seek to serve only Catholics or evangelize to their clients. God, pulled a J there. State officials won in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which said that the Catholic nonprofit's work did not serve primarily religious purposes. In Thursday's unanimous decision, the Supreme Court reversed that decision, ruling that Wisconsin was violating the First Amendment by privileging certain religious beliefs and actions over others. Quote, this is Justice Sonia Sotomayor. It is fundamental to our constitutional order that the government maintain neutrality between religion and religion. There may be hard calls to make in policing that rule, but this is not one. So Wisconsin was basically claiming that because this Catholic charity is not only serving Catholics or only trying to say Christ is Lord, yada, 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 they don't get the tax exception. That's holy crap, that's bullshit. What the hell are you doing? This is interesting. On jurisdiction over a foreign state. I hadn't heard about this one. C.C. Davis versus Antrix. The justices were considering under what circumstances for federal courts in the U.S. can assert jurisdiction over foreign states. The case stemmed from a conflict between a company that's active in the U.S. and a corporation owned by India. The Supreme Court on Thursday unanimously ruled that federal courts did have jurisdiction over India in this dispute and reversed the decision by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Of course we have jurisdiction. That's so dumb. There has for 220 years there have been cases decided in U.S. federal court over different countries because we are seen worldwide as the arbiters of truth and justice, that our court system is one of the most fair systems in the world, and they would rather have things decided here than in their home countries. Did you talk about that if the government does not give you money to speak, they are violating your First Amendment rights in PR? I haven't talked about NPR yet. Did you talk about the government does not give you money to speak? They are so you're talking about how here's the thing with NPR. We'll get back to Baraka in a second. So NPR and PBS exist because in 1976, I think, the Congress created the Public Broadcasting Corporation. And the job of the Public Broadcasting Corporation is to distribute funds earmarked by Congress to NPR and PBS. Now, I grew up watching PBS. I really like PBS. But I do not watch anything on PBS that is not television. So, for example, as a kid, I would watch Cyber Chase. I don't even remember what other PBS kids shows 2006. So that's Arthur, Curious George, Clifford, Cyber Chase, Between the Lines. I loved Between the Lines. And so things like kids shows. And then Sunday nights, I would watch Masterpiece Mystery or Classic or whatever with my mother. And so none of what I enjoyed about PBS was the stuff that no one likes about PBS. Everything that I enjoyed is what most people know PBS for. Most people don't watch PBS's news programs or even the concerts they would have Saturday nights, saying, "Hey, if you gift did you enjoy this taping of who was it always? Who sings Fire and Rain? James Taylor. Did you enjoy this taping of James Taylor's latest concert? Well, contribute $100 and we'll give you this free tote bag." Like, no one, that's not what people watch PBS for. They watch it for daytime television and Masterpiece on Sunday night. And so now PBS and NPR have spent the last 20 years basically becoming more and more left-wing, becoming more and more politically divisive, instead of just telling you the news of the day, telling you how you should think, what you should think, and what you should believe in. And now suddenly they're upset that Donald Trump and the Republicans don't want to fund them anymore. It's like, look, what's up, Debbie? Look, the fact of and Clyde, I did not say hello to Clyde. Clyde, how you doing, man? And yes, New Jersey never changes. And man, I got so excited that I wanted to keep entertaining everyone that I forgot to say hello to Psychotic Mongoose as well. Who else did I forget to say hello to? I think that's it. Yes. Also, Hoagie's right as well. We don't have the money. We ain't got no money. So they're suddenly upset that Donald Trump and the Republicans don't want to fund them, and are sitting there trying to claim that because the 1976 law created them, what's up, Adam? They get to exist in perpetuity, and that's not true. You get to have the money that Congress earmarks you. If Congress doesn't earmark you money, then you don't get to have any. That's the way it works. So what should happen to begin with is, whether it's in the BBB, Big Beautiful Bill, whether it's in later earmarks or whatever, we should just not put any money towards that corporation. We're not required to. Exactly. You go out there. So here's another thing, okay? Who has listened to K-Love Christian Radio, WMHK Christian Radio, any of these Christian radio channel stations? They all have to fundraise because they don't get to receive. I think they get a little bit of money from the federal government, but they don't get to receive a bunch of money, and they also don't advertise like other radio stations advertise because they don't want to advertise, ungodly stuff. So they have to fundraise, which personally is annoying as heck because I hate sitting there driving down the road on 3 o'clock in an afternoon listening to what's her name for the 8th time in that year say, "Hey, we're on a fund drive." It's like, okay, yeah, pay for it. Exactly. So that's what NPR and PBS are claiming. They're claiming that because this law was set up 50 years ago, they get money in perpetuity. And that's just not the case. It's also not the case that the president is required to distribute funds as Congress earmarks. That's part of the checks and balances. One of the checks that the executive has on the legislature is that he can say, no, I don't want to distribute that money. It's kind of like who remembers this is a throwback. Who remembers my favorite member of the House of Representatives from a decade ago, Trey Gowdy? The first time I heard about Trey Gowdy, he got out on the floor of the House and he made this beautiful speech about what is our remedy? What is the remedy of the House of Representatives to force the executive branch to act? And there is none. There is no enforcement arm of the legislature. All they can do is impeach. That's their punishment. But they can't enforce. That's the job of the executive. And the Democrats loved it for 8 years while Obama was in charge. And suddenly they hate it. But that's the way it works, guys. So we'll get into where did I put it? We will get into I do want to look at this one real quick. Okay. So they also decided a case on reopening lawsuits. In Blombank v. Honigman, the court was considering whether victims of terrorist attacks or their surviving family members could reopen their case against a bank that had allegedly aided and abetted terrorists by providing financial services. The Supreme Court ruled that the people who brought the case did not meet the high standard that must be cleared to reopen the case. The majority opinion, authored by Justice Clarence Thomas, was nearly unanimous. 8 of the justices, including Thomas, joined it in full, but Jackson only joined it in part. Okay, so this is in this case, I don't think this is no, Clyde. Double jeopardy is only a criminal aspect. You can be sued. I mean, theoretically, yeah. Pretty sure that's right. You can be sued for like the same thing multiple times. People just don't do it because the first time you sue, you usually have as much information as you're going to find out. It's unlikely that you end up finding out more information down the road. I'm pretty sure criminal, yeah, right, yep. Yes, I was right. Excuse me. Yes, double jeopardy is only a criminal thing. It's outlined in the Fifth Amendment. Let's look back at Mayor Baraka We're gonna fast forward a little bit here. Again, this is all they keep outlining political statements made by these political appointees to show that they were being political in their actions. Again, you can, and that's the other thing. You can be political in your actions, but if you have a good faith basis of backing up your actions, then you're good. Hoagie says double jeopardy does not happen until you go to trial, right? So you can be arrested and released before trial and then be arrested and tried and convicted later. Yes. So double jeopardy attached, there's a couple ways double jeopardy can attach or jeopardy can attach. So the second you are convicted or found innocent by a final decision maker, whether it's a jury or a judge, jeopardy has attached. You cannot be tried again for that crime or any lesser included crime. And market reality, I'll get to you in a second, but confirm that I'm right about that, please. Second, if you get to a specific point in the trial and a mistrial happens, a judge he or she has the ability to attach jeopardy and say too much has been done, jeopardy attaches, and you're free to go. Second is if you make a deal, we just saw this with Juicy Smollett. If you make a deal with the government and you hold up your end of the bargain, jeopardy has attached. So in that case, Smollett agreed to give up the $10,000 bond that he had bailed out on and do 16 hours of community service. Because he had done it, then, yeah, that's a good point of putting it, reality. Because he had done his side of the bargain, jeopardy had attached, and that's why his conviction was overturned. Like I said in my video, the Supreme Court of Illinois never even talked about what the case was. They never went over the merits at all. He wasn't found innocent. It was found that the Chicago PD had violated his Fifth Amendment rights by trying him again. Mark Reality says jeopardy attaches when you're put in jeopardy of losing your life or your freedom. Yeah. You were talking about the president's impoundment power, which was unconstitutionally abrogated under Nixon. Man, why do you have to use words that I have to look up? Repealed or done away with? Okay, yes. Okay, so thank you, Mark Reality, checking me there. Okay, so the president did and still does have the power of impoundment, meaning that he can decide to not issue funds that Congress has earmarked for certain stuff. But the Impoundment Control Act of 1974, which is what Mark Reality is talking about, requires the president to notify Congress of any impoundments, and Congress must approve rescissions where funds are permanently withdrawn within 45 days. So honestly, that's probably what Trump should have done first. He probably should have said, waited for the budget to come out, and then told Congress, we're not sending money to the Public Broadcasting Corporation. And he's got a majority in Congress. They would have approved it. That's probably what should have happened. Mark Reality, how do you feel about the line item veto? Can't require POTUS to do shit, especially this one. I love it. So for those who don't know, presidents enjoyed, or actually, I think Clinton was the first to use it. Bill Clinton used to use the line item veto. So when you had these giant ass omnibus bills, Clinton could go in there and go, yes, 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 no, yes, no, 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 yes. And I forget who, but someone sued claiming that it was a violation of the Constitution. I forget what their claim was in the Constitution, but the Supreme Court said that allowing the president to use the line item veto was a violation of the checks and balances between the legislature and the executive, because it was basically allowing the executive to use a quasi-legislative power by accepting laws in part and disapproving laws in part. Yes, the GOP is loosest. They never take victory, fight for defeat. It is genuinely sad. Let's get back to this, because I think honestly, this lawsuit's hilarious. I spoke about it on Twitter the other day, but so here in South Carolina, we have what's called Rule 11. And Rule 11 requires that any time a attorney signs anything, basically, that they are agreeing that it is a truthful statement, basically. Where is this? Hang on one second, guys. Might be here. Nope. I thought I saved it in. God. Screw it. I'll just look it up on Twitter, on Google. Every pleading, motion, or other paper of a party represented by an attorney shall be signed in his individual name by at least one attorney of record who is admitted to practice law in South Carolina. Yada, 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 yada. The written or electronic signature of an attorney or party constitutes a certificate by him that he has read the pleading, motion, or other paper, that to the best of his knowledge, information, and belief, there is good ground to support it, and that it is not interposed for delay. Basically saying that if an attorney signs it, he or she says, this is a good lawsuit. This is worthy of being tried. New Jersey has a similar law. Theirs is, and I did tweet this, so let me find it real quick. Profile, replies. I tweet way too much. New Jersey Court Rule 14-8. And that is the signature of an attorney or pro se party constitutes a certificate that the signatory has read the pleading, written motion, or other paper. By signing, filing, or advocating a pleading, written motion, or other paper, an attorney or pro se party certifies that to the best of his or her knowledge, information, and belief, formed after an inquiry reasonably under the circumstances, A, the paper is not being presented for any improper purpose, such as to harass or to cause unnecessary delay or needless increase in the cost of litigation. B, the claims, defenses, and other legal contentions therein are warranted by existing law or by a non-frivolous argument for the extension, modification, or reversal of existing law, yada, yada, yada. So again, this rule, New Jersey Court Rule 14-8, says that if an attorney signs something, they are saying this is a legitimate case. How is suing a attorney general, and sorry, not attorney general, a U.S. attorney and a DHS agent for legally arresting someone, whether it's a political arrest or not? He actually broke the law. He actually did what he was arrested for. And then he was let go. They let him get away with it. How is this? I just don't understand this. And this is the thing that pisses me off the most. We're going in a rep mode here. You have rising tort costs here in the United States. Torts are, basically civil cases. You've got attorneys that blame insurance companies. You have insurance companies that blame attorneys. You have hospitals and doctors that blame both. You have legislatures that blame all three. We blame legislatures. And we sit there and say that these people are causing everything to rise out of cost. Hospitals say the reason that your insulin shot costs so much is because we have to charge more for it because we keep getting sued for malpractice. And even when we don't commit malpractice, the plaintiffs are so sad and hurt that the juries just want to give them money. So healthcare costs are rising out of control because of this. Insurance companies say we have to raise rates because we keep having to pay out these ridiculous settlements because juries feel bad for everyone. Then legislatures go, hang on, we need to curtail litigation on this. We need to require attorneys to prove extra stuff. We need to require what is it? Mark reality, whenever joint and severable liability, which basically means that anyone in the chain of events can have to pay for everything. So if a bar overserves, if Acme Bar overserves John, and John goes out and actually runs through a family of three, then that family of three can go after the bartender, it can go after the bar owner, it can go after John, it can go after the guy that held the door for John on his way out. All of this is bullshit. And the reason all of this happens is not because of attorneys, not because of hospitals, not because of bartenders, because of the fucking judiciary, judges and state bars refusing to hold these attorneys accountable for Rule 11, New Jersey Rule 14-8, whichever rule your state is. That's the issue here. You've got attorneys that are able to sign these bullshit things, and the judges don't do shit about it. That's what pisses me off. How's everyone doing? Did that get out of hand, guys? That might have gotten out of hand. I apologize. Rule 11 Fed. Yeah. Well, so it's Rule 11 here in South Carolina. I guess it's Rule 11 in the federal court too, isn't it? Yeah. It's Rule 11 here. I love that. South Carolina is kind of simple. We like to use the same rules that the federal government uses. It's easier. Okay, let's keep going. So just a whole bunch of bullshit. Oh, I love this. Look at this. Call it any chance to call Donald Trump a convicted felon. Oh, they love it. Let's see. I already kind of went over what happened there. Let's get to. So here we get to the defamation. Defamation is also defamation is a federal question, isn't it? Mark? Oh, I'm an idiot. So because they're in federal, there's a doctrine that I don't remember the name of it that basically says if you choose to piecemeal your lawsuit, then we're not going to let you try the other lawsuits. So basically it would Mayor Baraka has to sue Alina Habba for defamation in this lawsuit, because if he waited to sue her in state court later, state court would say, no, you've already tried these facts. We're not going to try these facts. So he's claiming defamation here, says that this tweet is defamatory. The mayor of Newark, Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law that will not stand in this state. He has been taken into custody. No one is above the law. I mean, that is what happened. Let's see. Authorized the false arrest. Again, you trespassed. Again, I really like Nancy. Nancy is funny. The petty offense of defiant trespass. This I would disagree with this attorney on a lot of stuff, I'm sure, but I love the way she's written this lawsuit, or at least her associate has written the lawsuit. Later on May 9th, defendant Abba participated in a telephone interview with Fox News, during which she continued to make false and defamatory statements, including but not limited to. This is more just saying that he was doing all this stuff and it wasn't actually true. These are all questions for a fact finder. Following the events of May 9th, defendant Abba and Patel conspired with and or directed DHS officials in promoting a false and defamatory narrative about the events on May 9th. For example, on May 10th, the Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at DHS appeared on CNN and made the following false and defamatory statements. The member of Congress and the mayor and a mob of protesters stormed the gate. We've seen the video. That's very close to what happened. This is a guy storming an ICE facility. He's putting the detainees at risk, putting law enforcement at risk. He's joined by a mob of people who want to end ICE. This is nothing more than political games. The mayor broke into the detention facility. There were multiple people arrested. A bus of detainees was at the gate. I don't understand how this is a defamatory statement. It is flat or false that there was a flat out false that there are code violations and there were proper inspections and permits. Again, this is not a defamatory statement. Is this not all on camera? A lot of it is on camera. You can definitely it's a lot of the camera footage is of Representative, what is her name? McGiver, something like that. There's not a lot with Mayor Baraka in it, if I remember correctly. So obviously, they're kind of allowed to get away with or able to get away with a little bit more misleading detail. But again, I don't see this actually going anywhere. I think this I don't think this gets dismissed. I also think if Baraka continues trying to fight it, it gets past summary judgment. But I don't think you're going to be able to find a jury, even in New Jersey, that sits there and says and looks at the videos and all that stuff, because those videos will come in and be like, he's completely innocent. They absolutely arrested him wrongfully. I just don't think you're going to be able to find that. Juries aren't stupid. They can be dumb, but they're not. People aren't stupid, but together they can definitely be dumb. What do you think, dude? I don't see any defamation there either. And truth is it is a total defense to defamation. Yep. And then there's always opinion. Exactly. So that's like all they need to do is produce the certificate of occupancy, and all of this goes away. I don't know why they haven't yet. I think they're probably trying to they're either trying to hide something or they're waiting for a nice gotcha, which wouldn't surprise me. I don't really care. So she's included the entire admonition. Let's see. I'm kind of over this now. This didn't end up being as dumb as I thought it would be. It's still a really stupid lawsuit to claim that they defamed him by doing interviews that are legitimate interviews. They've got immunity from this. They're not. Well, actually, that's probably what's going to end up happening. The judge is going to dismiss this because he's going to find that their immunity covers them from this. Yeah, I just think I want to meet Nancy Erica Smith because I think this is actually a relatively clever complaint, and it's a hell of a lot better than whoever Disney has as attorneys that answered the what's her name, the Gina Carano stuff. Nancy did a much better job than they did. Okay, before I jump into the probably final big thing for tonight, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, if it's a nonpartisan judge, exactly, absolutely. That's been the big issue lately. Is you get all these judges that and that's the big problem. Is a lot of these judges, at least in my opinion, and Mark Rowley, you deal with judges a lot more than I do, so you may have different opinion. But a lot of the judges that I've interacted with, you can tell that they're partisan. You can tell that they definitely swing one way or the other. But they just but they don't they don't wear it on their sleeve. They don't go into their chambers or their courtrooms and decide, oh, this person's guilty because of what they look like and stuff like that. Most of the judges I've met are relatively level-headed. That could be a thing just for being down here. That could be, common. Like I said, Mark, you deal with a lot more than I do. But at the end of the day, they're I don't know what I'm trying to say. Holy shit. Hold up. This was hilarious. Let me see if I can find this. Because stupid Twitter just refreshed. Look at this. He finally said something. Slow news day. What are we even going to talk about, Theo Vaughn? That's hilarious. Most of the judges I've seen do, in fact, work really hard to take their own emotions, belief out of the case. Yeah. One example I want to give. Has anyone seen Wicked? Thank you. Yes. Hit that like button. Who is that judge? Not the traffic court guy. But there's a judge that has like a YouTube channel now. Judge Flesher. This guy. If y'all have seen this guy, I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's just like a Superior Court judge. Judge Flesher. David Flesher is an American judge currently serving on the Harris County Criminal Court in Texas. So he ran as a Democrat. He ran as a Democrat in 2018 and won re-election in 2022. Every single thing I've seen this judge do, yeah, every single thing has been almost perfect. I've never sat there and said, now I haven't watched a lot, But anytime I see him do anything, it's just like, yeah, no, there you go. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And he's very fair too. Like he doesn't. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about rocket docket? That guy loves getting everyone in and out quickly. I like this guy. He's entertaining. Guys, hang on one second. I need to open my stream because I think I saw something. I just want to make sure it's not all over the place. The King's Court. Man, I gotta get more subs so that actually becomes the first thing. I don't have to keep typing in the 2015 or 1215, I should say. Oh, sitting 155 now. Thank y'all. Let's make sure we mute myself. So Yavarin, I don't know what your problem is, but unless you misphrased everything, you are going straight into timeout, buddy. We are not going to talk like that here. No, I haven't. I don't really think I'm going to talk about the breakup, Pilgrim. You've got, this was obviously going to happen. You got two people who basically haven't really been told no in like the last 30 years. And they were going, you had one person that was clearly had an agenda for electricity, electric cars, Tesla, all that. Elon Musk clearly wants electric cars to become the big thing. And Trump didn't want that. And I think I think that anyone thought they were going to be buddy for 4 years. I think we fooled ourselves. Let's see. I had a prosecutor friend of mine become a judge. I called him right before he took the bench. We agreed that I can't pick on him anymore now that he's a judge. Yeah. Dude, Mark, did you ever watch The Practice? I just finished The Practice a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't like that they had McDermott leave and bring in Alan Shore. But the end where Alan Shore actually talks to Eugene as a judge and tells him about him being the respect him having is more profound than just the stupid robe. I love that scene, and I think it's the biggest failure of Boston Legal that they did not put Eugene as a guest star a couple times here and there. Okay, let's get into it, kids. So, who would have thought that it would have taken the Supreme Court of the United States to decide that what's it called again? Oh, yeah. That discrimination is discrimination no matter what the color of your skin, what God you pray to, or who you do it with in your bedroom. Who would have thought it would have taken the freaking United States Supreme Court? But it did. Amesville, Ohio Department of Youth Services decided today in a unanimous decision that reverse discrimination did not require a higher level of scrutiny than regular discrimination. Think about that. Okay. So Mark Reality is going to correct me when I get this wrong. I'm going to try not to get this wrong. Con law was one. I loved con law. I loved talking more in that class than actually like reading. One of the things I hated the most was scrutiny. I just didn't really understand it. So scrutiny, there's 3 levels to scrutiny. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't remember them. And basically, if you make a law, okay, I remember one of them: strict scrutiny. If you make a law about a enumerated specific right, it has to pass strict scrutiny, meaning the court looks like opens everything and like really looks to see if that law serves a legitimate purpose. And they make tests for all this stuff. Like reality is sitting there rolling his eyes because I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. I hate scrutiny. Basically, it boils down to the Sixth Circuit said, and the Sixth Circuit is, again, like I said earlier, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. The Sixth Circuit said that if you're white and you're discriminated against, because you're the majority, your discrimination has to pass a higher standard than if you were black and you were discriminated against. We call that racism. Like that's just what it is. And I remember my first week in law school, one of my roommates, where I'm sitting there talking to him about something, and I said something was racist. And we weren't talking about like politics or anything. I think we were talking about something for 100 years ago, and I just mentioned, well, yeah, but that thing, that's kind of racist. And he was like, no, it's not. I was like, what do you mean? It's racist. You can't do this just because the person's white. And he goes, no. But white people you can't be racist against white people because they are the majority. And I looked at him like he was a fucking idiot. And for 3 years, every now and then, and he wasn't like a super liberal or anything like that. I think he was like collegey liberal a decade ago. So, he'd already been through work and stuff like that. So he'd already kind of gotten angry at the government for taxes and things like that. So he was just kind of socially liberal, which a decade ago wasn't that annoying, or at least as annoying as it is today. In this country, Pilgrim. And so, but the thing that shocked me was that I didn't know people actually thought like that. Like, how can you sit there and look at, a black person saying, oh, you're trash because you're white, and not be like, oh, well, that's racist. That's clearly racist. Like, racism is, that's the thing that's stupid about the phrase, oh, you're homophobic. My statements are not homophobic because they're not driven from fear of gay people. They're driven from anger or annoyance of the fact that the United States government and every corporation almost across the entire world has bowed down to a group of people that make up less than 1.5% of the world's economy and 1.5% of the world's population. And we're just supposed to be like, oh, let's not offend them. It's bullshit. That's bullshit. Race should be strict scrutiny no matter your race, and gender should be intermittent scrutiny no matter your gender. Looking at you, Dylan Mulvaney. See, this is the thing that's bullshit, because I kind of understand what you're saying, but I couldn't define what you're saying because I fucking hate scrutiny. At 45% at a time. So, the Sixth Circuit's background circumstance rule, which requires members of a majority group to satisfy a heightened evidentiary standard to prevail on a Title VII claim, cannot be squared with the text of Title VII or the court's precedents. Basically saying that Title VII and Supreme Court precedent does not allow for the different levels of standard for reverse, what was it called again? I literally just said it and now I can't remember it. Seriously, what was it? Why am I blanking on this? Reverse discrimination. Thank you, Hokies. Jeez, guys, I swear I'm a professional. I want to see if what was the test? Sixth Circuit Shades is contagious. That's hilarious. You know what, Inkwells? The fact that you would compare calling reverse discrimination bullshit to judges and police that allowed the lynching of a human being simply for saying, excuse me, ma'am, is bullshit. You know what? Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Huh? How about that? Let's remove you, dumb ass. Oh, actually, no, I have something for this. Hang on. Here we go.
Objection. I
love that. That's such a good show. If y'all haven't watched The Practice yet, I highly recommend it. The first 4 or 5 seasons do a really good job of actually writing legal stuff. It's very similar to the first 5 years of Law and Order, and about the first year and a half, first season and a half of Suits. After that, it just kind of becomes about the firm life and crazy stuff. I love them. I love trolls, man. They get me hyped. Oh yeah, let's see if I can find the test. Oh, look at that, Maynard Nexon. So this is even more interesting. This test, the standard that the Sixth Circuit was using, it's also followed by the 7th, 8th, 10th, and DC circuits. So that is Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, 8th, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, 10th, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and the DC circuit. That shocks me. I'm trying to see if I can find the actual thing. If I had Westlaw, I could pull it up. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Why don't I ask Rock? Define the background circumstances test in, what's the name of the case? Maines? Ames v. Ohio. Ames v. Ohio. Because I am extremely interested in what the test is. Let's see. The background circumstance test was used to evaluate claims where a majority group member alleged discrimination based on a protected characteristic, sexual orientation, race, or sex. Under this test, plaintiffs had to demonstrate one of the following to proceed with their case: evidence that a member of the relevant minority group made the employment decision. For example, in Ames, Marlon Ames, a heterosexual woman, would have needed to show that a non-heterosexual individual made the decision to demote her or deny her a promotion. Statistical evidence or a pattern of discrimination against the majority group. This could include data or documented instances showing that the employer systematically discriminated against the members of the majority. It was applied in addition to the McDonnell-Douglas framework, which is what's normally used. And all they have to show is they are a member of a protected class, they suffered an adverse employment action, they were qualified for the position or role, and a similar qualified person outside the protected class was treated more favorably. So here's the thing. I don't like either of these tests. Honestly, I think this heightened background circumstances is the better test. I think that should be used across the board. Prove that you're a member of protected class. So prove that the discrimination was based on that status. So prove that you were discriminated against based on your race, sex, creed, religion, et cetera, national origin. And then prove that someone else got the job because they weren't that thing. That's what it should boil down to. This other test, the McDonnell Douglas framework is way too broad. Let me share this tab so y'all can see it. A member of protected class, they suffered adverse employment action. They were qualified for the position, and a similarly qualified person outside the protected class was treated more favorably. Literally, like, how broad is that? That's the thing that's so annoying about these. Now, this is still just to like make it in the door, basically. So after you prove these things, you still have to prove that the boss or the company was racist or sexist or homophobic towards you. But I just think this is way too broad. Like, so many, almost any person that doesn't get the promotion would fit into this, especially now that it covers white people too. I don't know. What do y'all think? What is this? Show comments on stage. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, I don't like that. You would still have to prove your case to the jury. Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, these things are still just to get basically in the door. But I still think, I think both of them are way too broad. Q, white people. What's up, Comments Dad? How you doing, man? I hope everything is going awesome for you, man. I know you were going through some shit. I hope it's turned around and gotten a lot better. All right, last thing I want to talk about is DOGE, because I did actually put it in the title. I want to talk about DOGE. So one of the things that's annoyed me a lot in the last 2 weeks is we keep hearing this phrase: codify the DOGE cuts. And the thing that I find really annoying about it is, what are you going to codify? So for example, one of the things that DOGE cut was basically saying, hey, the Department of Agriculture has a whole lot of unused licenses with Microsoft. Let's get rid of a bunch of them. You know, they say, and they did that across the board. They saved millions of dollars doing that. What are you going to codify? What law are you going to pass? It's a single page. It says every single department is only allowed to have 10 extra Microsoft licenses. Well, that's a dumb law. That is a dumb law. What should happen is the OCO, the Office of Congressional Budgetary, the OCB. That should be a rule on the OCB, which I believe the OCB is controlled by. Hang on, let me make sure I have the right initials. Congressional Budget Office. CBO. Not OCB. I had it backwards. So the CBO basically says this is what we think everything's going to cost. Okay. It's part of their job. One of the things they should be required to do every quarter or half year or on the year is audit their services. They should be able to audit the different departments and say, hey, Cash, hey, Mr. Patel, y'all have 1,000 employees, but you have 2,000 Microsoft licenses. We're going to get rid of 990 of them. Y'all don't need that many extra. So that should be part of their job. But you don't need to codify that. You just have the fucking person in charge of the CBO make it a new rule. And this is the beautiful thing about the stupidity of American politics. Because what will happen is when a Democrat gets back in office, because it's going to happen, and they say, we're no longer going to require the CBO to audit these departments, then everyone freaks out and go, why? Why don't you want them to audit it? We've been saving a lot of money. What the fuck are you talking about? And suddenly it forces them to have them audit this shit again. So it's sort of like, it's the same reason that I'm against term limits. We shouldn't need term limits. That's the problem. That's why term limits weren't part of what the founding fathers set up. It's the same reason they didn't put term limits on the president, because we know from the congressional records that they debated a long time on what the term of the president would be. Would it be like a king? Would it be 6 years? Would it be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? All that. Can he have infinite terms? Can he not? And Hokies is right. They decided that the best limit was the voter. The problem is not only are the people running so dumb and selfish, but the voters are retarded. The voters are worse than juries. So instead of having honorable people actually being in our government, we have a bunch of thieves and adulterators who don't actually give a shit. And that's the problem. It's because we've allowed our Congress to get so disgusting. Remember when John Edwards, I think John Edwards was his name, New York senator. Yes, John Edwards. I think it was New York. It might be Virginia. North Carolina, actually. North Carolina had a senator, John Edwards, who was the favorite to run in 2004, I believe. He was the favorite to be the Democratic nominee in 2004. And he got caught having an affair. And it was so insane that he resigned from office. Now we've got a thrice divorced president, or twice divorced president. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being divorced and being president, but the meter of the morality in this country has shifted so much over the last 40, 50 years that no one gives a shit. We will sit here and hoot and holler and yell, and then in a year and a half, South Carolina will be voting Lindsey Graham back into office for his 5th term. I'm not going to vote for Lindsey Graham, but the state's still going to fucking do it because voters are stupid. The voters can't speak English. And see, again, that's what's so annoying. They shouldn't be needed. They shouldn't be. But, I mean, think about it. Think about our founding fathers wrote a document that has only been amended 26 times. And 2 of them cancel each other out. Let's see. And honestly, to be fair, the first 10 don't really count because they weren't really amendments. They didn't really change anything. So it's only been amended 16 times. And again, 2 of them cancel each other out, so 14. That's impressive. 18 and 21, there you go. I see a lot of people put the First Amendment or the Second Amendment on their wall. I have the 21st Amendment on my wall. In my office, not here. I should, though. All right. John Edwards was actually from South Carolina. Yeah, again, Pilgrim. That's the thing. I don't think they should be needed, but I think now they are. Or at least if we don't do term limits, maybe we do this amendment that Mike Lee is drafting basically saying, it's the one, it's floated around Twitter for probably about a decade now, that whenever the congressional whatever reaches over 3%, that everyone is ineligible for re-election. That I would definitely be in favor of. Guys, I hope y'all had a lot of fun. I hope don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps. It gets, we had one video, the video about Maxine Waters and her I want to say conviction, but it wasn't a conviction. Her ability to get out of jail free, basically. The other day, it hit 908 views. So I'm truly enjoying this channel. I'll be honest, that one was probably a little clickbaity. But a lot of this has been a lot of fun to do. I really enjoy Legally Speaking. I love sitting here talking about this shit. I love sitting here and talking to Mark Reality. We were in, I think, X-Wings or Joe Rosie's chat 3 or 4 days ago, just talking about stuff that everyone else is there. What the hell are they talking about? I hope y'all are enjoying it. I hope y'all have enjoyed what I've been doing so far. Again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them. Tweet them to me. Put them in Discord. My link to my Discord is below in the description, or it will be at the end of this. I don't think it is right now. Until next time, guys, I will have a video out maybe tomorrow. I might not have one tomorrow. It really depends on what time I go to bed at night. Till next time, guys.